In his Letters on Morality, Seneca suggests that we put aside two weights: fear of the bad things the future may bring and memories of past sufferings. The former has not yet affected us, and the latter can no longer harm us. For the Stoics, regret arises when we allow past events to interfere too much in our present, especially when we focus on things beyond our control, such as resisting what life offers us. Marcus Aurelius argued that we should be content with what we have and accept the present as it is. Regret arises when we do the opposite. We wish things had been different. By not accepting reality as it is, we ignore that successes and failures are an integral part of our history. Mistakes are not always the only way to learn in life. But we can learn from our mistakes every time. Seneca said, "We often suffer more in our imagination than in reality." So he is saying that regret is nothing more than an emotion based on our fantasies. We believe that if we had done something different, made a different decision, said something or kept silent, everything would have been better. Regret is an internal problem that we need to face and overcome before guilt pokes holes in our soul. Marcus Aurelius had a similar mindset. And he said that the problem is not what is happening around us, but how we understand these situations. And we can change our way of thinking right now. Your regrets are not about the situation itself, but about how you view unfulfilled expectations. Now, it is important to learn to live with it. You need to learn to let go of these self-centered feelings and learn to control the heavier feelings of guilt. This video will be a guide to understanding your feelings, learning from the past, and overcoming your biggest regrets. And if we are meeting for the first time, I want to say something that those of you who watch the channel already know. This video came to you only because someone liked it before. So help us in this chain. Help this video reach more people. Like it, leave a comment, and please don't forget to share it with the people you think need it. Why do I have regrets? Seneca tells us that life is short and difficult for those who dwell on the past, ignore the present, and fear the future. When we don't balance our relationship with the past, we forget to live in the present, and this imbalance leaves us in anxiety and suffering. We have all thought or said at some point in our lives, "Live without regrets." Every day there is a new post, a song, a video, or a phrase that reminds us of this. But the truth is that we all have regrets and often feel guilt and shame about our past. These are moments that we thought we had overcome, but suddenly they come back and hurt us. This feeling of regret, like a bad taste in the mouth, makes us think about what could have been different or makes us question ourselves. How we behave is something everyone feels. This happens even when we try to move forward and not look back. Daniel Pink, an American author known for simplifying complex social science research into easy-to-follow clues, found that more than 80% of people experience regret from time to time. Describing regret as an essential emotion, Pink also notes that it can be used in a positive way to transform our lives. If we really want to improve, we cannot avoid or hide negative emotions. But how do we deal with these emotions? Should we accept the hopelessness that regret brings? 18. Samuel Johnson, who created one of the first English dictionaries in the 18th century, shared his thoughts in his diary about not keeping some of his promises to himself. He noted that it was important to try to get better and emphasized the need to reflect on difficulties in order not to repeat the same mistakes. He chose to struggle with regret, for which he preferred to learn lessons rather than wallow. An important lesson we can learn from Johnson is that although regret is inevitable in life, we can choose how we deal with it. Instead of focusing on why we feel regret, we should ask questions like, how can I overcome this? How can I move on? And how can I come out of this process a better person? Stoics teach us to identify what is within our control as an essential step in developing mental resilience and overcoming regrets. Recognizing that the past cannot be changed is essential to moving forward. Sometimes we judge our past, condemning our actions by comparing ourselves to what we know today. We think, I wouldn't have done this today, I wouldn't have acted this way. This probably means that you have learned something you didn't know before that justifies your actions. Focus on what you control. A student who was hurt by his brother's behavior went to talk to Epictetus, and Epictetus gave him this advice. Every event has two handles. One can carry it, the other cannot. If your brother wrongs you, instead of addressing his injustice, grasp the injustice from a handle that you can carry. He is your brother, and you are created together. Therefore, you are grasping a handle that you can carry your experiences and emotions. This frees you from the burdens of the past and helps you move into the future with a healthier perspective. Embracing past mistakes and successes, seeing them as learning opportunities, gives you a strong foundation for your life's journey. As this story emphasizes, everything has two sides. One is its bad side and the other is its good side. Keeping the bad side of something makes you suffer, while keeping the good side gives you happiness. So we can say that there are two ways to face every problem, but each time we have to choose what we can control. This idea helps us to decide what is in our power and what is not, what we can change and what we have to accept. This is one of the most fundamental practices of Stoic philosophy, which I constantly try to emphasize in my videos, as it is seemingly simple but quite difficult to put into practice. As an Epictetus example, we can look at the past in two ways, from two sides. Either as something that only harms us, something we are ashamed of, or as experiences from which we can learn valuable lessons. When we look back, we should choose the second option and accept what happened. We have to realize that we cannot change the past, no matter how much it hurts us or someone else, even a loved one. And what is the meaning of regret? Absolutely nothing. Edith Eger, a Holocaust survivor, gave powerful advice on dealing with guilt. "If I had known then what I know now, I would have behaved differently." That's all she said. Guilt belongs to the past, and the only thing we cannot change is our past. We often judge our past by what we know today, by what we know after we have made mistakes. Repentance only plays a truly constructive role in our lives when we learn from our mistakes and try to act differently in the future. If we keep punishing ourselves, feeling guilty, judging ourselves and making the same mistakes, this feeling only serves to drag us down. Seneca advises us to let go of this burden. Because if we dwell on the past, we lose the chance to learn and improve our actions to avoid making the same mistakes and regretting them again. As a society, we often fool ourselves into thinking that we have control over everything that happens in our lives. Everyone believes that if we dwell on the past, we can somehow change what happened. But we have to accept the fact that some things cannot be changed. We have to clearly understand that some things are within our control and some things are not. Let's say you regret getting a haircut. You have options. You can try a new hairstyle, you can use something to cover your hair, or you can wait for it to grow back, as I did last week when my brother accidentally hit 0 while fixing my hair. You are in control. But if you regret insulting your boss before leaving work, you cannot change what you said. You cannot take it back. So, good riddance. As Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself and to us, remember that neither the past nor the future can control you. Only the present has that power, and even that can be limited. You just have to set limits for yourself, and if your mind tries to convince you that you cannot handle it, then it is time to rethink your power. Now stop for a moment and think. Remember that your past does not and will not define your present. Instead of dwelling on your mistakes, take the opportunity to learn from them and become a stronger individual. Share with us a regret that came to your mind while watching this video and how you became stronger from it. With your comments, you can inspire not only yourself, but also others who are struggling with the same challenges. Remember, every fall is an opportunity for a rise. The past has already happened and needs to be left behind. It is over. We cannot dwell on our insecurities or dwell on our regrets. We have to learn that things are out of our control now. We have to let go. Phil Jackson, basketball coach of the Chicago Bulls in their heyday, describes letting go as a painful but necessary step towards true transformation. This is the Stoic art of acceptance. When we accept things as they are so that they can become what they are meant to be. By accepting that some things are out of our control, we reduce our regrets and desires for different outcomes. In a way, regret is wishing things had turned out the way we wanted them to. But if we let things happen naturally, we are less likely to regret our actions. Again, by accepting that some things are out of our control, we can also remove the possibility of wishing the outcome had been different. The past is something we can no longer control. We cannot change what we said, what we did, or how we felt. But we can control the present. We can decide how to benefit from our experiences, how to face challenges, and how to use our regrets to our advantage. We control how we behave in the present moment, and that is what matters. Love your destiny. Marcus Aurelius reminds us of our capacity for transformation when he says that a burning fire produces flame and brilliance from whatever is thrown into it. Once we understand what we can control, we have to figure out how to react, regardless of whether we control what happens or not. We need to choose how to behave, how to overcome difficulties, and how to move forward. In the homilies, Epictetus imagines that he is about to be executed by the Roman guards and finds himself in a situation completely out of his control. Yet as he reflects on his situation, He shows calmness and wisdom. I must die, but shall I die weeping? I will be in chains, but should I also be in grief and despair? I may be exiled, but what can stop me from smiling, being calm and cool? Amorphathy goes beyond accepting what happens to us. It means realizing that not everything has to be seen as negative, and that accepting the status quo can make us better people. I know that everyone knows what is good for them, but maybe life knows what is good for you better than you do. To know how to be grateful even for cloudy days is to realize that there is always a way out of problems. Is to realize that even our stumbles are a dance that the universe offers us. We all face challenges. We all get stuck in traffic. We all deal with slow Wi-Fi or bad cellular service when we need to send an important message. We often think that these problems are personal, that we are the only ones facing these challenges, as if the world is playing tricks on us and we can't win. But this is not true at all. Everyone faces obstacles. Everyone stumbles sometimes. Everyone gets weak, or even the brave get discouraged. As we have said before, there are things in life that we cannot control, and these challenges are among them. When we accept what happens, especially after we realize that many negative things are beyond our control, we reach an important point. To love everything that life brings us and to face every situation with joy and strength. As Robert Greene, author of 48 Laws of Power, says, accept that all events have a cause and that it is possible to see that cause as something positive. Marcus Aurelius uses the image of a workshop in the Meditations to explain this idea well. He says, there are thorns on the road, so stay away. There is enough to say. Why should we think about the existence of a nuisance? Such a thought becomes a mockery to a true student of nature. Just as they would laugh at you if you showed them the sawdust and splinters on the floor of a carpenter's or a shoemaker's shop. But while these tradesmen may have garbage bins to throw away, nature has no need for them. Why get stuck on thorns? Why think about the sawdust on the floor? This is just a part of nature. If you can see these obstacles, you can also overcome them. Practicing amorphathy also helps us avoid regrets in the future. By embracing the challenges ahead, we are less likely to regret our decisions, whatever they may be. We can face the future with confidence, faith, courage, and much more. Amorphathy is more than a mindset, it is a way of life. Bringing it into your life will take time, effort, and sacrifices that will probably not be comfortable. But we must do it. We must overcome this existential anguish. We have to move away from our regret and move towards our future. Love what has happened to you, who you have become, and how much you have changed. Love your destiny. Carry this idea with you every day. Write it down on paper. Carry it in your pocket to remind you to see each moment, no matter how challenging, as something to be embraced, not avoided. Look ahead. At every step, we must project our thoughts ahead and keep in mind all the possibilities, not just the usual course of action. This is what Seneca advises. How good are you at problem solving, seeing potential situations or problems before they arise and finding solutions before something actually happens? Stoicism trains us for life, and we often regret that we didn't learn and develop the skill of problem solving. Seneca says, rehearse these things in your mind. Exile, torture, war, shipwreck. All the circumstances of our human destiny should be before our eyes. This practice, called Premeditation, is one of the oldest and most common in Stoic philosophy. It literally means the premeditation of evil. The Stoics used this practice to prepare for life's inevitable challenges and to remain calm and confident in turbulent times. The world is not always fair, and things don't always go our way. What happens in the game may not always be what we work for. And what happens in life is not always what we plan. But we shouldn't be surprised when things go wrong or dwell on the past. If our happiness, self-esteem, or mobility depends only on things going our way, then every time we try and fail, which is bound to happen, we get frustrated, feel unhappy, and stop taking risks for fear of disappointment. You will find it much more difficult to live in the present instead of being stuck in the past. You will find it much more difficult to trust your instincts and fight regret. Instead, it's best to be ready to accept the consequences and move forward with confidence in the decisions we make. This is emotional resilience training. You prepare yourself in advance to face difficult situations when things are good, so that you are ready when things go bad. Booker T. Washington, an influential leader who ran a 1,500-student school, advised politicians and activists, and traveled the country giving speeches. Washington is an incredible example of the practice of premeditation. He would start the day hoping for the best, but at the same time mentally preparing himself to face the worst. From school fires to harsh criticism for something he might not have said. This mindset helped him to be ready for any adversity. A delayed train, for example, didn't seem so bad compared to a possible school fire. By preparing himself in this way, Washington was not only able to face challenges, it also protected him against regret. By anticipating problems, he reduced his fear of the consequences of his actions and made it less likely that he would regret his decisions. In the same way, Epictetus used the premeditation of evil even for simple tasks like bathing. He suggested imagining all the things that could go wrong in a bath, such as people jostling, splashing, or even stealing. By doing this, he could remain calm if something unpleasant happened, remembering that his purpose was not only to take a shower but also to maintain his inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. This shows how being mentally prepared for setbacks helps us to react better and keep our calm. Practicing premeditatio malorum does not mean focusing on the negative or attracting bad things or waiting for bad things to happen. Stockbrokers have used this technique to be more in touch with reality, to understand their environment and possible problems and challenges. For us today, this means letting go of the illusion that life is perfect, which social media often tries to make us believe. How many perfect marriages have broken up overnight? How people who can't put two words together at home are proclaiming great love for each other on social media? Or how many people who appear successful on the outside but are broken on the inside, struggling with depression? Living in this bubble of superficial positivism, believing that everything will always go exactly as planned, leaves us unprepared when something goes wrong and even the smallest obstacles and challenges in life knock us down. Practicing premeditatio malorum helps us prepare for the challenges we will surely face in life. It may be hard to accept, but things will not always go our way. And even things will not always go our way. Maybe you don't have your dream job yet, maybe you don't live in the best house or drive the most powerful car. But when we mentally prepare for life, we can overcome obstacles and suffer less along the way. This practice gives us confidence that whatever the outcome, we are making the best possible choice and thus avoiding regret. Don't ruin what you have by wishing for what you don't have. Remember that what you have now was once among the things you expected. This quote from Epicurus teaches us the importance of being content and grateful for what we already have. Do you only feel shame and regret for your past mistakes? This is what you have. Perhaps if I hadn't done wrong, I wouldn't have this realization today, and I would probably still be repeating the same mistakes. Do you regret spending all your time on a job or relationship that wasn't worth it and what you had? Perhaps this bad relationship will help you reevaluate your boundaries. Look within yourself and realize that the recognition, love, and true connection we hope for is first born within ourselves. We often build our own mental prisons. We do something wrong, and even after we change our attitude, we continue to punish ourselves for the mistake. Letting one mistake determine the whole course of our life is like punishing ourselves unnecessarily. It's as if we say to ourselves, "We deserve this because we did wrong. We deserve to suffer more. I suffered 8 years in a bad relationship. Now I'm going to suffer for 2 more years by giving in to regret. I had a job that was a burden for some people. Now I will burden myself with the regret of having worked in that place." Regret arises not only in big mistakes, but also in small everyday mistakes. Sometimes we force ourselves to suffer even for simple things. For not completing a chore, for skipping a diet, for missing a deadline, this can create a never-ending cycle of self-punishment and sadness. We continue to feed ourselves with negativity, punish ourselves, make ourselves suffer. Regret is a negative conscious and emotional response to past personal actions and behaviors. It is accompanied by feelings of sadness, shame, embarrassment, depression, distress, or guilt. Stoics believe that we should learn from the past, including mistakes, but we should do so in a balanced way, without allowing ourselves to be overwhelmed with guilt over something that cannot be changed. To overcome regrets, we need to accept that we cannot change the past. Accepting this is the only way forward. We must always remember that the present is the only reality, the only certainty. The present is the only time that really exists and carries the full reality of our life. Valuing the present moment is the basis for living fully and without regret. Stop worrying about things you can no longer change and focus on making a positive impact in your life right now. Because the past is not in your control, but your actions in the present are. And if you have made it this far, don't forget to reinforce your change or your beginning and make a gratitude comment. Now watch the video to your left to discover the antidote to my unhappiness that took me 7 years to understand. Thank you for watching.